So if you're looking for a budget-friendly meal that you can make in about 30 minutes, then you're definitely going to want to try my broccoli and beef chow mein. Okay, so today I'm going to be making broccoli and beef chow mein. The reason why I'm smiling is because I'm just learning how to learning how to use my laptop, where I can actually use the laptop um, as a screen to see what I'm doing on when I'm recording. And because I don't know how to use it, I completely did it wrong. So I had a whole thing that I captured where I was talking and it didn't actually record anything. So now I'm just gonna explain what I did without actually showing it, which kind of sucks, but it's okay. So I want to show you guys how I make my broccoli and beef chow mein. This is the budget-friendly broccoli and beef chow mein. It's not the traditional recipe. I made it last week for my kids, and my daughter especially really liked it and asked me to make it again this week, so I am. So I started off with just ground beef. You can use lean or extra lean, whichever you prefer. And then I seasoned it with quite a few things. So for my dry seasonings, I added onion powder, garlic powder. I like to use the all-purpose Maggi seasoning as well in mine. You don't have to, but I do like to put a little bit of it in it. People don't like it because it does have MSG. I don't mind MSG. I don't use it all the time and in everything, so it's fine. And then I also put a little bit of white pepper. I don't do measurements. I will try my best to put the measurements in the caption. I don't know, it's just a Caribbean thing. I guess we don't really measure our food, we eyeball it. Because I made certain things so many times and I know how it tastes, I have a general idea of how much I put, but I will try to put the measurements in the caption for you guys. Then I added a little bit of cornstarch as well. That's just to help make the sauce thick when I'm frying the noodles. And then I added my minced garlic, some minced ginger as well, and I mixed that all together. I also added a little bit of oyster sauce and soy sauce. Okay, so that was that. Then I also made a sauce that is going to be for the noodles. This is what's going to make the noodles nice and saucy and delicious. Essentially, I'm putting the same ingredients that I did for my meat seasoning. The only extra things that I did add were rice wine vinegar. I added a little bit of sesame oil, and then I also added a little bit of the chili oil. It doesn't, and ketchup. The chili oil doesn't make it spicy. I find it just gives it a nice little kick. If you don't like any spice at all, then you can leave it out. It doesn't change the taste in terms of flavoring. It'll still taste really good. I just like to put the chili oil in it. But yeah, so now I'm gonna, this is so frustrating. I can't believe that happened, but I guess this is life. Like, it is what it is. I'm going to turn on my wok. I am using a wok to make it today. And then I'm also going to add some water to my pot to cook my noodles. I'm using this brand of chow mein noodles. It's the Iman 100% vegetarian chow mein noodles. This is something I commonly buy. I did get it from the West Indian store. You don't have to use this. You can use any type of noodles that you like. And this is what we use in my home. I usually use this, or I use Brown Betty or Guyana Pride, but you could use whatever you want. Yeah, so now I'm gonna fry up my meat, and I will show you guys how I do that. Okay, so I have my wok heating up, and I'm just gonna season my pot with a little bit of salt, not too much because we're not making pasta, and there's a little bit of, like, the soy sauce and everything is salty too, so just something to be mindful of. So yeah, I have my pan getting hot, and then I'm also going to be, and then I'm going to put some oil in my pan. So I'm going to add some more sesame oil to my pan. I like to add some onion. So since my pan is already nice and hot, I'm just going to add my onions. I also have some shredding, a little bit of that garlic, or sorry, the ginger still on here. So I'm going to put the ginger in. Then I'm just going to saute this for a little bit. One of the handles on my wok broke off, so I only have this one side. So I have to twist it around depending on what hand I'm using to cook it up. I'm not going to cook them down too much. I don't want them to disappear into the noodles. Oops, there's a little bit of a peel in there. Don't want them to disappear into the noodles. I'm going to keep my pan super hot, and then I'm going to add my ground beef. I'm going to cook my ground beef until it's basically nice and brown. And depending on how much meat you like or don't like, you can do less or more. It's completely up to you. Based on how much meat I have in here, I may take some out and put it aside just so the kids can eat it with rice or something else if they want. I probably won't leave all of this meat in here. I put in all that I thought. I usually buy my ground beef and then I portion it out. So I just saw the portion that was in the freezer that was pre-portioned. But it is a lot of ground beef, so I may actually take some of this out and put it on the side. Anyways, I'm going to leave this to cook. You want it to be nice and hot. One other, I call it a special ingredient, but it's a very common Guyanese ingredient. I am going to put a little bit of casrip in it. So I'll just show you what it looks like. So casrip is made from cassava. I'm not even going to try to go into details about how it's made, but it's basically it has a similar texture to molasses, but it is made from cassava, and it's used in a lot of Guyanese dishes. Most specifically, pepper pot is probably the most popular thing that it's used for. But yeah, it's used in a variety of Guyanese dishes, and it's really delicious. It adds a nice little bit of a sweet flavor to different things. I'm going to put it in here just because it also works great as a browning agent, in addition to just balancing out the flavors and adding a little bit of sweetness. And it smells delicious. So because this ground beef was frozen, it does have quite a bit of water content to it. So I'm going to leave the pan on hot and just let it cook down. And I will be back when this is closer to being done. So broccoli and beef is commonly made with some form of steak. The ground beef is nice because it is a little bit more cost-effective. Steak, especially now that it's summer, is really expensive. And also to need quite a bit of it for a larger family. So the ground beef thing was honestly just because I remember as a kid, my mom would make chow mein for us very often. It's a common Chinese dish. But if she didn't have chicken or shrimp or whatever, she would even do it with ground beef or with corned beef. So last week, I was thinking, what can I make for the kids? Because sometimes I'm just looking for a quick meal that isn't necessarily pasta. And I just thought of doing this. And like I said, my daughter loved how it came out. I had a bit of it to taste just because I wanted to make sure that it was good for the kids. And it was really good. If I was eating meat, honestly, I would have devoured a bowl of it myself. So the meat is cooking down. I'm going to add my broccoli now. I'm using this frozen broccoli. I like to buy this from Costco. Mostly because when I cook it, I only ever really eat broccoli steamed. And when I cook it, I find that it comes out just the right consistency. So I am going to put it from frozen. I'm going to add it to the meat. And then I'm just going to let it soften a little bit. In the meantime, my water is almost out of boil. The noodles don't take long to cook at all. So I'm hoping by the time, the idea is to have your meat be ready for close enough to when your chow mein noodles are finished. And then that way you can add the noodles as the last step and your sauce. Also, too, I want this to cook down because then I can take some out and put it aside to be eaten with rice or something else. One of my sons, he's not a fan necessarily of noodles, so this is another option for him if he wanted to eat this with rice instead of eating it with the chow mein noodles. And I'm just gonna cover this just to hold in that steam and help those noodles cook. And my water is boiling, so we're gonna add we're gonna add the chow mein noodles. I'm just going to use a fork to loosen it up so everything cooks nicely. This really doesn't take long to cook at all. Even if you decide to use the Cantonese chow mein noodles, for example, it's a few minutes. And you don't want your noodles to be overcooked because when you add them to the meat, it's also going to be quite saucy. So just something to, or sorry, not saucy, soggy. So something to bear in mind. Just don't overcook the noodles or else it won't ruin it, but it won't taste as good as it could taste if they're just al dente, I guess is the best word for it. So we're just going to check this to see some of that water now is starting to dissolve. I'm also going to add a little bit of carrots. I do have some matchstick carrots. I don't always add it, but I am going to add it today. These are super convenient too because you don't need, it's so much work to cut the carrots into this kind of shape. So I love getting this at the grocery store specifically for dishes like this. Yeah, because it takes me forever. It takes me forever to cut them into strips. Also, make sure that once your noodles really get going, that you put the lid half on, half off, so that you don't make everything spill over like I did. Just mix this all up, and my broccoli is starting to feel soft too. So I'm going to mix this up, and then I'm going to take out, I'm going to drain my noodles. Give it another sec. By the time I take out the colander, it should be ready to come out. Okay, so I put that to drain. Now we're going to check on this. What are you guys saying for? But to me, I think these are ready. Like you can stick a fork through them. Kinda. Maybe a little bit more. Some of them are better than others, to be honest. I'm gonna get a bowl. And I'm gonna put aside some for my son, or one of them, so that he can eat this with rice or whatever he wants. And this is quite a bit. I think that's perfect. There's still a good amount of meat. Good amount of broccoli as well. If I need to add more back, I can. But I think this should be perfect because you don't want it to be so much of a meat ratio compared to noodles. And it's just overloaded with meat. So I think the broccoli's probably done. So now I'm going to add my noodles back. Try to get all of this. I'm just going to toss this around. And so for some people, if you wanted to really make, like, I guess, a traditional chow mein, it is dry. It's not saucy. We like a little bit of sauce around here, so that is why I have the extra sauce that I made on the side. I'm just going to use this to just really mix it up well. But it's completely up to you. You could stop at this point and not add the sauce. But like I said, we do enjoy a little bit of sauce around here. Also, too, I find it just holds up a little bit better putting it in the fridge and when you're eating it as a leftover, because whatever little bit of sauce is on here, the noodles are going to absorb. Can you tell I'm not great at this at all? I don't know. It's starting to get dark. I'm going to turn on the light because it's really, darkness. Okay, that's better. That was pretty dark before I didn't realize how dark it was until I turned on that light there. Okay, so I actually think this is a perfect ratio of meat and broccoli, etc., to what's in here. So I am going to add that sauce that I made now. I'm going to add up like half of it at first, mix it up, and then see if I need to add more. So I'm going to turn down my stove as well. I'm struggling because I don't have my pan is twisting around, so I'm going to do it like this instead. And I think this looks good. Decent amount of broccoli in here. And that is it. So that, all in all, took about 30 minutes to make. So my kids aren't here right now. They're out at the park with my cousin. So I will taste some just for a camera's sake. Okay, so this is the finished product. I think it looks delicious. Like I said, if I don't eat meat on a regular basis, but if I was, then I would definitely be devouring this on a regular basis. I think I'm gonna try doing it with I do have this recipe, I'm still tweaking it for a vegetarian, it's like a lentil, like a veggie meat option. It's made with lentils, walnuts, and what else did I put in there? Oh, mushroom, lentil, walnuts, and mushroom, but I think I may actually try it with that. But anyways, let's see how this is. I portioned this out, I'm not eating it all at all. It's so good. I'm gonna take one more bite. So I also did add a little bit more of that chili oil to the top of it. I just love adding chili oil to everything. But guys, it was so good. Highly recommend you try making it. If you do, let me know. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch me make this. As I said, if you do try it, let me know. If you really enjoyed this video, then please like and subscribe, and look out for more quick and easy recipes made by moi. Bye. Have a good night.